Hello everyone. In this video, which is kind of another planning and tips video, I want to talk to you about my 3 favorite ways to save money on each of the 4 biggest areas of travel. Okay, in the 4 biggest areas of travel, what I'm talking about is transportation, specifically flights, lodging, food, and entertainment or admissions. Okay, there's a lot of different ways you can save on these areas, and people have done lots of videos about them, and there's lots of information online. But I'm just going to give you my 3 favorites. Okay, as a single parent, I have to be pretty careful with my money, and I have to make my money stretch. But I'm not like a crazy extreme couponer or anything. I don't go to like extreme lengths to save money. I just try to be smart about it. I keep a budget. I keep tabs on my spending. Well, I keep actually very accurate records of my spending, but and I like to do things to save money that are easy. I guess basically these tips are things that don't take a lot of extra effort to do. You know, they're not a big hassle. So that's kind of why I like, because, you know, the other thing as a single parent is my time is very short. I don't have a lot of time or energy to go to great lengths to save money. So these are my 3 favorites for each area, okay? The first major area of travel is transportation. Now this could be either driving, a flight, a cruise ship, a train. With your car, anything with your car is going to have to involve like good maintenance of your car and gas mileage. And that's a whole nother topic. With train travel, unfortunately, there's not a lot of way to save money anymore. Amtrak has gotten new management and they got rid of like the AAA discount and everything. So there's not a lot of ways to save money on train travel anymore. And I mean, the price is just what it is. And then on cruise ships, the main ways to save money on travel, which is somewhat similar for flights, is the time of year that you sail. There's definitely much cheaper times of year to take cruises than others. You can look at the same cabin category, the same ship, the same itinerary, but if you look at different dates, the price will be drastically different. And for the other thing is to watch for sales. Like I just booked again our Royal Caribbean cruise for next summer during their WOW sale, so I got a very good deal on it. Okay, but when it comes to taking flights, my 3 favorite tips for saving money. Number 1 is the day of the week. If you can fly midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, your flights are going to be cheaper. Flights are always going to be more expensive on the weekend and on Mondays and Fridays. So try to fly midweek. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, and this is a more recent thing, is to book directly with the airline. I will use things like Expedia and Kayak and Trivago and stuff like that to compare flights to get kind of a sense at the beginning what I'm looking at. But I almost always end up flying on Delta or a subsidiary of Delta anyway. Like the last few times going to Europe, and now my son's going to Italy soon again, and I'm looking at flights for him. It always ends up being like a partner airline like KLM or Air France or something anyway. So Minneapolis is Delta's main hub. So most of our flights out of here are going to be Delta. Used to be Northwest, but then Northwest and Delta merged. So booking direct with the airline is always going to give you your best price. That didn't used to be the case, but now it is. So number 2 is to book directly with the airline. You can use travel compare sites to get you started, but then go to the airline's actual website and book directly with the airline. And the third thing I would say about saving money on flights or transportation is to set up fare alerts. So, and kind of along with this would be to be flexible with your days or your dates, and that goes back to the day of the week thing. When you go to one of those comparison sites, like I really like kayak.com, you can look at, well, even on the airline websites, you can do this. You can look at the calendar, and you can see, like, if I take the same flight and I leave on this day, it's this much, but if I leave the next day, it's $75 cheaper. So that's something to do. But then if you set up a fare alert on Kayak or some site like that, they will email you however often you want, once a week or whatever, daily, what is the lowest price for that flight now. So as soon as it goes down, you can grab it. So that would be my third tip for transportation. Okay. Next main area of travel expenses is your lodging. My 3 favorite tips for lodging. Number 1, get a AAA membership. I've had a AAA membership for several years. It started out, my mom got it for me and my son as a Christmas gift. We have used it several times for our vehicles, which is what its main purpose is. We've had to have both my son's car and my van had to get towed at different points, which didn't cost me anything with my AAA membership. And, but I started, I took over the membership and I pay for it now for me and Andrew myself. And it's not expensive. It's like less than $100 a year, 100 something a year. And for 2 of us. And it covers you, first of all, when you're driving, even if you're the passenger in the car, you don't even have to be driving your own car. You're still covered by the AAA. But with travel, that membership for me more than pays for itself in what I save in hotels. I get the AAA discount on almost every hotel stay I have, and I easily cover the membership in what I save in hotels. So that's my 1 tip. Now, not all hotels will accept the AAA discount or offer it, and not all of them will offer it all the time. So sometimes you'll see that they'll have the AAA discount and sometimes they won't. And then I almost always stay at Hilton properties, and I usually then will get the Hilton Honors rate. And so that's usually close to as cheap. So any kind of membership, really. AAA, become a member of whatever hotel brand you like. Loyalty, Marriott, Hyatt, Holiday Inns, which is IHG, whatever hotel brand you like to stay in, become a member of their loyalty program. And I mean, I've gotten free room stays from staying in hotels with Hilton. When we went on our last cruise on the Disney Wonder last year, our pre-night hotel, which was a huge suite, I got for free because of my Hilton Honors membership. My second tip for saving on lodging is to stay in the off season. So wherever you're going, and different locations have different seasons, keep that in mind. Your off season is not going to be the same in Alaska as it is in Hawaii even, so if it's a place that people want to go at a certain time, go at the opposite time. So I mean, like, everybody wants to go to, well, I don't know. There's so much variation to this, but just find out when is the cheaper season to go. The one example of this that I can give you is Disney resort hotels have seasons. They have a value season, a regular season, a peak season, summer season, which is I think even a little higher than peak, and then they have like a holiday season, which is the most expensive, and that's like Easter and Christmas. And their rates of the hotel rooms at Disney fluctuate greatly just based on those seasons. So if you can find out when their value season is and go then, or at least the regular season, which would be the next lowest. My third tip for lodging, for saving money on lodging, is location. You're always going to pay less in a less desirable location, less convenient. But depending on what you're doing, that may not necessarily be bad. I find that, interestingly, the hotels near airports actually tend to be cheaper than hotels in the main urban metropolitan area, because usually airports are some distance away from the main part of the city. If you can stay in the suburbs as opposed to right downtown, for example, your location is going to make your hotel cheaper. So that's my third tip. Okay, next area would be entertainment and admission. My 3 favorite tips for saving money in this area. Number 1 is most major cities have either a city pass or a Go card or something like that. It's a kind of all-inclusive card that you buy at a significant discount. If you go to their website, either City Pass's website or Go Card, there's a number of cities that offer them, and it gives you, you get to bypass the lines. You basically have your ticket already. Like all your tickets to all these attractions are already on that card. So you get to go to all these different museums and sites and things with just the one card. You've already paid for it all. So you don't have to pay the individual admission at each place. And it's discounted from what it would be if you paid for each place individually. And there's something similar to that in most major cities if you look, even in Europe and everything. The other thing I recommend for this is watch for free days. So my second tip for entertainment and mission, many museums have a free day or a free evening, or they're just free. The Smithsonian museums in Washington, D.C. are free. A lot of the museums in London are free. Or watch for like even theme parks, Valley Fair over here in Minnesota. If you go after 5 in the evening, I think it is, or 4, it's cheaper. So go whenever they're free or discounted just because of the time that you go, the day of the week or the time of day. And then my third tip for admission and entertainment is to get memberships. What I mean by this, we have 2 memberships. We have a membership to the Science Museum of Minnesota, and we have a membership to the Minnesota Zoo. Okay? The Science Museum of Minnesota membership covers me and all 3 of my kids. It's $99 a year. The Minnesota Zoo one's a little higher. It's like $149 or something like that, and it changes. But and I have the one where you can bring one extra person. So like I could bring a grandparent, or one of my kids could bring a friend or something. And that's per year. So we get to go to those places, first of all, as many times as we want for free. And parking's free. Well, not at the Science Museum. Science Museum's right downtown St. Paul. We do still have to pay parking there, but we get a discount. But parking at the Minnesota Zoo is not usually free, but we get it free. And I can tell you from the one time that my husband and I and all 3 kids went to the Minnesota Zoo, we spent way more on that one visit, getting in and parking for the 5 of us, than the membership costs. It was more expensive. We should have just bought the membership. And maybe we did. We might have when we realized that. And I think we've had it ever since. So, but here's the cool thing. When you are a member in any ASTC, it's the Science and Technology Centers, Association of Science and Technology Centers, which they have a website. They list all the museums, and it's a whole bunch of museums that you wouldn't even think of. Lots of children's museums in the entire world that you get into free because you have that membership. For example, Science Museum of Minnesota, just last weekend, Ben and I got in free at Discovery World in Milwaukee with our Science Museum of Minnesota membership. We can go to the Field Museum, Adler Planetarium, the Science Museum, the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, all free with our, and those are, I'm just thinking of ones that are close. So plus any place else we went in the country, we would get in free. So get a membership like that. And then the zoo one, Milwaukee Zoo gave us half off to get into Milwaukee Zoo with our Minnesota Zoo membership. And that depends. I think when we went to the new zoo in Green Bay one year, I think there we got in free, or at least got a discount. So get memberships to the things that are local to you, and then you can get into a lot of other places free around the country. Okay, now for food, my 3 favorite tips for food. Number 1, share. Portions in America are ridiculous and huge. You don't need that much food. We'd probably all be thinner if we didn't eat the portions that were given to us in restaurants. So in most places, just get one and split it. Or let your kids split it, or whatever. But you don't need to eat all that by yourself. My daughter, when she went to Valley Fair with her class at the beginning of June, right before school got out, she got this chicken and fries basket for lunch, and it was so big. She's like, I'm never going to eat all this. And so she shared it with her friend. And he didn't have to buy anything. The other thing, my second tip for saving money on food, easy tip, is let your big meal be lunch instead of dinner. And this isn't always true, but often restaurants, sit-down restaurants, the lunch menu and the dinner menu will be really similar, if not exactly the same, but for whatever reason, the lunch prices are cheaper. Or they have some kind of special deal at lunch where it's, you get some kind of, like at Olive Garden. What am I trying to say? Where there's a lunch thing, there's lunch specials between 10 and 3 or whatever. So lunch will just usually be a less expensive meal than supper will or dinner will. And so if you let your big meal be lunch, you're probably going to save money. And then my third tip for food is stay at a hotel with free breakfast. And we almost always do this. I can tell you within the Hilton properties, Hampton Inn has free breakfast, Homewood Suites has free breakfast, Embassy Suites has free breakfast. There's probably a couple more I'm not thinking of. Marriott Town Place Suites has free breakfast. Fairfield Inn has free breakfast. Holiday Inn Express usually has free breakfast. So if you stay, Residence Inn has a free breakfast. If you stay at a hotel at a property that has free breakfast, take advantage of it. The hotel rate isn't going to be any more. It's included. And most of these free breakfasts are really good. I mean, a lot of places have the make your own waffles. They have a huge selection. So, eat a nice big breakfast. You should be having breakfast anyway. And then you're not, well, first of all, you're not starving yourself until lunch if you just skip breakfast. Or secondly, you're not having to pay for breakfast elsewhere. So you're saving that money. So those are my 3 tips for food. So to review, my 3 tips to save on transportation or flights are fly midweek, book direct with the airline, and set up fare alerts. My 3 tips for saving money on lodging are get a AAA membership or a loyalty membership with a certain brand of hotel. Stay in the off season and think about an alternate location. My 3 tips for saving money on entertainment or admission are get a city pass or a Go card, look for free days or cheaper discounted times, and get memberships to museums and zoos and things like that. And then my 3 tips for saving money on food when you travel are to share entrees, eat your big meal at lunch, and stay at hotels with free breakfast. So those are my favorite tips for each of those areas of saving on travel, and I use these basically every time we travel, and it saves me a ton. So I hope that's useful to you, and I hope you guys have a good day. Safe travels!